The Dark Night of the Soul, Part 2. The night is what makes the dawn so bright. The purpose of Part 1 of our deep dive into the dark night was to help you understand how this spiritual transformation can lead you down into the depths of despair, worthlessness, and emotionality. The dark night of the soul can kick up trauma, insecurities, and fears that have long been repressed, causing some to have to face the stark, often jarring reality of their own mortality as the ego self dies. To encapsulate my own deep dark night, it was an enduring period of a process relinquishing many created limiting beliefs, traumas, insecurities, wounds, behavioral and thinking patterns, and people that no longer served where I was meant to go in life. In looking back and bringing what I've learned to the fore, it was indeed a rite of passage of sorts, a holy experience that is difficult to explain with mere words, but it's very real nonetheless. Socially and individually, the dark night causes upheaval as our mental schemas and social constructs become askew, turning life into a chilling house of mirrors. Life loses its meaning, making everything seem unfamiliar and foreboding. Yet as grim as things may look, this is a story of hope. As we suffer every night, the darkness will recede at dawn, a time of rebirth and illumination. The question is, how does one get through the dark night with nary a flicker to lead the way? Knowledge is power. The best way to cope with this soul journey is to learn about the process and its purpose. Unfortunately, when I went through this journey, I had no frame of reference and I didn't know what to call it. So luckily, you get to benefit from my experience here. Awareness of what it is as vital as why it is to endure the ego death, loss of identity, and fear of the unknown throughout this spiritual transition. Knowing what you are going through, there is a peace and tranquility in the understanding your trials and challenges can serve your greatest good and the good of society. Don't try to steer the river. Like turbulent waters, swimming in the murky depths during the dark night can be profoundly confusing, tiring, and draining. To prevent exhaustion, it is essential to swim with the current, not against it. To know when to stop and rest, and to start paddling again, is part of the lesson of the dark night. I have found many try to distract themselves and go into their addictions. Addictions can be anything from substance abuse, shopping, work, to sex, or even serial dating. Anything to distract the mind from the enduring discomfort with this process. If one loses a significant relationship, one may attempt to soothe the ego by fervently looking for a new person to fill the void. This can be construed as resistance to what is. Unfortunately, trying to fill the void with distractions is a trauma-based tactic that usually backfires. Acceptance, surrender, and release are necessary for growth from this time period. Understand that the dark night of the soul will take us down whatever paths, stir whatever memories, and rid us of whatever aspects of our identity and society need to facilitate spiritual awakening to be reborn. Grief is tremendous, but love is bigger. This is a grieving process. You're grieving the loss of who you were, what life was, and the meaning that you assigned to things like your career, your relationships, your education. Socially, we must accept the dying away of old constructs and mores that once gave us comfort, complacency, not because they served us well, but because they were familiar. During the mourning period, treat yourself as you would a dear friend or loved one. If you need more sleep, less sleep, time alone, time with friends, more physical activity, less physical activity, as long as you are caring for yourself first with consideration, compassion, and love, honor your needs. One of the lessons I learned from my dark night is how much time I spent allowing friends and loved ones to complain to me or to dump their problems when I wasn't prepared to receive this type of energy. My old self would jump into fix-it or healer mode, continuously enabling the other's dysfunction, and I realized I was teaching others how to treat me, and, more importantly, why I allowed it. It wasn't their fault if I was not asserting appropriate boundaries. As I began to set limits with certain people in my life, caring for myself, I felt less drained and more empowered to be who I am without apology, all the while remaining compassionate for myself and others. Some friends showed me who they were by leaving, and when they didn't get what they wanted from me any longer, and some friends showed me who they were by sticking by me and honoring my boundaries with love and care. Boundaries with others is crucial during the dark night because although you cannot physically see it, your higher self is diligently working on your soul's accelerated healing. Believe me when I say boundaries are an act of love, not only for yourself, but for others who are not yet aware of themselves and their own actions. Meditation, the language of the Spirit. This is the time to make space for the voice of Spirit and your higher self, even if you designate 10 minutes every day to simply sit still, observing your thoughts, sitting with your spirit, and the wisdom of the higher consciousness. Allowing yourself to be lovingly embraced by the universe not only provides guidance, but also serves as a comfort and solace from the turmoil that you were experiencing during the dark night. One of the things my higher self taught me during my dark night was to begin a mindfulness meditation practice, which I did, and this practice was the antidote to leading me out of the dark night. However, it is understood that this is not for everyone. Sometimes just talking through the process will suffice. The cure for the pain is in the pain. At times you may go day to day, hour to hour, and during the darkest times, moment to moment. But there is purpose in the pain and the social upheaval. I always tell my clients to stay the course and to allow whatever emotions and thoughts to surface. Each trauma that you uncover, each aspect of your ego that dies, and each uncomfortable reality that you face takes you deeper into the dawn of awakening. Socially, this phase of storm and stress brings us closer to the all after the storm. When we are willing to go through the pain, rather than go around it or above it, we find profound healing and we reveal deep spiritual truths. I find this is a time when one may find the pain so unbearable, they resort to spiritual bypassing. And when we bypass the pain of the spiritual lesson, the lesson comes in a bigger way. It's best to face it now. The greater the storm, the brighter the rainbow. During the dark night of the soul, there is panic, sadness, neediness, and turmoil because so much is lost. Individually, we may lose ourselves. Socially, we can lose our way altogether. Yet in reality, we are deprived of nothing significant in these temporary losses. And because of all that is lost, so many valuable things are gained. It is here when you realize how the universe has had your back all along, even if you couldn't feel it at the time. From a higher perspective, awakening within you, you relinquish your false sense of self. You know yourself to be a completely different person on the inside, which energetically radiates on the outside. It's like a cleansing of a deep-rooted sickness, your past perception of your true nature, and your inadequate, often wrong opinion of who you think you are. As the inner conflict ceases, your spirit comes into alignment with your true self, and you have been delivered of the intolerable bondage to your ego. And as the sun rises on your dark night of the soul, you will experience a freedom like you never have before. You will experience truth, awakening, and connection, which will radiate into the universe. And in a world where everyone who is called to realize their higher purpose through the dark night of the soul achieves rebirth, society can come to know the unity, peace, and love our souls are destined for. Have faith that being committed and dedicated to healing yourself first is the most selfless gift that you can give to the world. You are that powerful. I thank you for listening, and I wish you love and truth. I am Lori Lines.